That's what we need, because Masvidal's fodder now. You feed him to people. He's no longer a top guy. He's a gatekeeper.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Warrior Show, presented to you by MMA Torch. I'm Rhys, and joining me as always is Chief Editor of the Torch, Colby Covington. In today's episode, we're going to be recapping UFC 272, with Colby Covington getting a dominant win over Jorge Masvidal. We're going to be reflecting on Maryna Moroz, the only Ukrainian UFC fighter who got a big win this past weekend. And finally, we're going to be talking about Bryce Mitchell, with a very interesting interview after his win against Edson Barbosa. Then, shifting over to Cain Velasquez, huge story breaking in the last couple of weeks, with Velasquez being charged on attempted murder. More to come. Then, Kayla Harrison resigning with PFL, a massive signing for the company. We'll see where it goes. Eagle FC, with a very important multi-year, multi-million-dollar sponsorship with a cryptocurrency sponsorship deal. And finally, as always, previewing this weekend's upcoming fights with UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev versus Santos. But just generally, Sean, we usually, go right to this past weekend's fights. Just give me your thoughts on Colby Covington's performance, what Masvidal did or lack thereof, just where both guys go. Are you interested in the fight? That type of stuff.
Masvidal needs to go to the bum couch. He's on the bum couch now. He's definitely a bum. That's not something I wanted to believe. Now, the signs were there, because his loss to Usman, it's like, oh, I thought it was going to be more wrestling. It's like, should have thought it was going to be more everything. It's MMA. Should have thought anything could happen to you in it. He could have been started doing drunken monkey in there, and you should have been aware of that he would do that, or that could happen. So I didn't like his excuse that, my wrestling wasn't sharp. When was your wrestling ever going to be as good as Colby Covington's, or good enough to really legitimately stop him? Usman's wasn't even, so I don't know what he was thinking, where he was coming from with that. He should have just said he got his ass whooped and he doesn't want to fight anymore. That's what he should have did, because that's pretty much where he is. So I flipped on both of them. I did a 180 on both fighters. Colby Covington was the one I didn't like, and was the guy that never did enough. He still doesn't finish fights. But it's not for lack of trying anymore. And that was my thing about him. He wasn't trying to finish his fights, but when he fights someone who can finish him, he definitely goes all in, which is great. It's just, previously in his career, that's not something he was. I didn't see him going for the juggler. Let me close this loud front door of mine. I live next to a highway. That's why it was cheap. But they say the housing market's trash. It's not trash. It's just you live next to a highway. A highway is also a bum highway, so remember that too. Although I've seen no homeless people. And also, if you hear clacking on my floor, those are my two new 4-year-old huskies. I'm probably a stupid man. I've heard 3 or 4 people tell me not to get huskies. And I don't even have a fence. Right now they're in the house. Look, everybody's going to talk that shit. Yep, I said it. They're good dogs, okay? They are good dogs, and they do behave. It's when they don't feel like behaving is when you be in trouble. But anyway, so in a roundabout way, the 2 dogs I got remind me of the fight I watched. You don't know, like they say, you don't know who's going to win the fight until they fight. That's why the fights happen. And sure, you can hear about huskies and different type of dogs all you want, but you don't know how they are until you get them. So I'm fostering 2 dogs right now. You can hear them shaking. And that's, if And the crazy part about it is if I just listened to what people said about these two fighters, then I would have just went with it. But I actually watched them fight and watched their fights, and it was good. I forgot who I predicted would win. I thought Masvidal might catch him off guard or something like that, because I like to go with the striker, because you can be luckier, you know, with takedowns and stuff like that. You can get caught going in for a takedown. I mean, the average person, if they shoot on you, if you know if you're aware that they could do that, you're blasting them. You're gonna knock them out as soon as they go for it. It's the worst possible thing you could do in a real fight, is go for a takedown, and the person knows it. They got to know it, though. I mean, if you're fighting someone with knowledge of MMA, you about to be in trouble. Because anybody trying to take you down is not really trying to. Oh, Colby Covington has some good ground and pound. Let's talk about that. How do you think? I want to ask you a question. How do you think he did in this fight? Because I think he did better than he did in this fight with Usman. In a lot of ways, I think he's improved. So how do you think he did in this fight? How do you think he improved? And do you think he might be fighting Usman down the line?
I don't think he really improved from the Usman fight to this fight. I just think it's what you're seeing as improvement is actually just a drop of level in competition. I think the way he fought Usman the first time, obviously he was up on one judge's scorecard going into the fifth before the stoppage. I had him winning the fight. Obviously Usman came on late like the champion he is. And then the second fight, I mean, it was, razor close again. It was, you could argue 3-2 either way. Most people would say, I think Usman did just enough to win the 3 rounds to 2, but you could see that in there they're the 2 best in the division, they're the 2 best in the world. So when Colby Covington goes to fight anyone else, you see the difference in level because he's on the level of Kamaru Usman. So you're talking about a guy who's on the level of one of the best fighters ever. And Jorge Masvidal, like you said, he is not that. He's a good fighter. He's had a great run. 2019, 3 fights, 3 wins.
Put him out the pasture. That's it. He's had a great run. You just put him out the pasture. That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't really buy into this Masvidal title. I mean, the 6 days notice thing, it was cool. It was a representation of Masvidal's character, that he's like a gangster. He'll take fights on short notice. He'll just fight anyone, anywhere. And that was cool. It was fun. It was good in the summer. The April rematch when he got knocked out was sort of like, okay, that's definitely showing the difference in skill level. I didn't think he really deserved the rematch, to be honest. I think he's in that pool of fighters now where it's 37. Massive pay-per-view draw will always be that. Put him in the likes with Nate Diaz again. Those type of fights, fun fights, not title fights. I think he's done with that. But Colby Covington, I mean, everyone was probably expecting that. They were either expecting that or a Masvidal, crazy knockout that would be the only ways of winning, and it sort of just turned into that. And I mean, with Colby, he's a great fighter, really great fighter. I know what you mean about sometimes lacking that skill to finish fights, not for lack of trying, obviously, like you said. He's got great cardio. The problem is that he might end up becoming, I said this, I think I tweeted something, that he probably become the best ever fighter to never win a title. And I got some people.
They wanted your head for that one.
Oh yeah, they wanted.
I knew what you meant. But he had a disputed championship. They was like, he's won, and I'm like, not really. Like, he did, but like since he didn't win that belt against the other champion, it kind of nullifies his actual championship.
Yeah,
I mean, he had an interim championship. I don't know what people are tripping about.
Yeah, I mean, let me just clear that up actually real quick. Exactly right. What you're saying is, I probably should have made it clear that I don't view interim champions as champions. Let's just
No, man, fuck them.
let's just look at the
Edit that out
facts.
too. Fuck them.
I mean, like, it's hard
Sorry.
because on one hand you've got like a guy like Dustin Poirier who worked so hard to get to the position of fighting for an interim belt, and he views himself now as a champion. Now, who's to say to take that off him? He is a champion as a fighter. He's a great fighter. He does a lot for charity and things like that. But then on the other hand, you have a guy like Cyril Gane who in August of last year fought Derek Lewis for an interim heavyweight title fight. He dominated that fight. And if you look up the build up to that fight, you know, the guys he beat to get to Derek Lewis, there were some names there, but are we really saying that to get to an interim belt, however much weighting that holds, and then to beat Derek Lewis, who, don't get me wrong, very skilled, you know, power puncher, fan favorite, all that stuff. But I mean, if you're Cyril Gane and you're that technical and you're that skillful, you should be beating a guy like that, which he did. But he then went into an actual title fight against the real heavyweight champion, the undisputed heavyweight champion, and got dominated. So how does that show that he's a champion? It shows you that there was another guy in the division better than him. And that's where I just kind of get lost in this championship, these belts where these guys think they are. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away. You know, they're working hard to get these things. But that's what I meant about Colby Covington. I thought, yes, he won the interim belt. I knew that. I didn't stop people commenting. They love to say something, don't they, Sean? But yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they did it because it actually exposed him as casuals. Because that's why I didn't say anything though. Cause I wasn't gonna come to your defense. What did I need to defend? I knew what you meant. I'm like, no, Kobe had an interim title and he didn't defend it. He's not the undisputed. He was a disputed. And you said that. You actually went in there and said, no, he was a disputed champion.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't get that. I'm like, if you don't get it, then I don't know. Then they're casual combat sports fans in general, period. Because that means they don't know anything about boxing. That term undisputed means everything in boxing. Everything. Because they got so many titles. So many unifications have to take place. But that's how they make all of their money. All of it. If you don't believe me, everybody's talking about is being billed as the biggest match. But the biggest match in WrestleMania history is the one coming up. And it's a unification match. 2 heavyweight wrestlers about to unify their titles. Talk all the shit you want about pro wrestling. You'll never make anywhere close to that money. Be close to that relevant. Be close to that good at anything you do in your life as good as they are at what they do. Just enjoy it for what it is. And understand that when your title is disputed, people aren't going to look at you as a legitimate champion. Nobody actually is. Now, I will say this. We didn't know exactly what they were going to do. So, yes, when you win the interim title, unless they're going to unify it, you are the champ, right? You are. What if Nagano didn't come back? What if he was done? Then that title belonged to Cyril Gane, right? So you do have to respect it right then and there. But once it's over with, once that title's unified, you don't respect it anymore. Well, not if the person lost. So, you know, I had your back on that one, but I wasn't. It wasn't anything to really defend, except them exposing themselves as casuals. That's why they kept saying casual, casual, casual. I'm like, yeah, you guys are. That's why you keep saying it.
Yeah, it's difficult because you have like some cases like a DC who wins the belt because John Jones, you know, vacates for being suspended and banned for 2 years. So it becomes difficult where you think DC is a true 2-time champion, you know, 2-division champion, but at the same time he never actually won the light heavyweight belt from its rightful champion. He won it in a vacant title fight. So it's like it's difficult, but that's just, my opinion on interim belt holders. But in some ways, take it how you feel. But just getting back quickly onto the Covington thing, obviously, I think Sean especially will be looking at, the likes of a Jorge Masvidal and thinking, God, WWE, really? I mean, he's already been in AEW a little bit, but you're just thinking that the path, and same with Colby Covington, really, at some point, you're just thinking, when are they going to cross over? And maybe for Jorge Masvidal, that's sooner rather than later now from this loss. But I don't know, I can't really see a clear path for Colby, because when you lose 2 title fights, it becomes very difficult. Obviously, to get a third one, Max Holloway's going to be doing it soon. No one really else gets that opportunity. So, do you do the winner of Burns Chimaev versus Covington? I think he's proved that he's better than those guys. He proved that he doesn't really need to take fights like that anymore. He should be fighting the champion, or these money fights like a Dustin Poirier fight maybe that he's been calling for. Well, I mean, what do you see next for Colby and then perhaps Masvidal later?
Masvidal needs to fight Chimaev. That's what he needs to do.
Ooh.
Yep, that's what we need, because Masvidal's fodder now. You feed him to people. He's no longer a top guy. He's a gatekeeper, and that he's a gatekeeper to the absolute top. He is, because he didn't. Yes, Usman stopped him. That was because of their fighting style, but he didn't stop him the first time because that's not the style in which they fought. They weren't just, let's just, swing. Well, I don't really know why Masvidal chose to do that at that point. He said it was more wrestling than he thought. No, I think you wanted him to take you down and then kind of throw him off with some of your striking, not just go in there and bait him into knocking you out, and then he knocks you out. Like his striking, the thing that improved the most about Kamaru Usman was his striking ability. It greatly improved.
Yeah.
It improved enough to where we knew he had the ability, the speed, the power, and the technique to knock out Masvidal. So I don't know what the hell he was thinking in. So that's why he's a gatekeeper, and that's why he needs to stop people from coming in. So that's on him if he doesn't like it. What's he gonna do? Run his mouth and get his ass whooped again? Oh! I mean, nobody's scared of the dude. He runs his mouth and gets his ass whooped. King of Miami and all that stuff. Colby Covington came in there, took his shots. It's not like Colby Covington didn't get pieced up, but he wasn't getting ground and pounded though. Masvidal was, and that's not even something that happens a lot in the UFC anymore. Like, MMA period. You just don't see a lot of ground and pound unless somebody's really not that well-rounded at all. And Masvidal, he kind of showed himself not to be that. And forget going back to the drawing board. Be a great gatekeeper and earn some money. Advocate for that BMF title to float around and not be, be a separate championship, and that it can't be on the line with other championships. Do that, because it doesn't make sense to just have that belt on a champion, because it's likely not going to come off of the champion. So, but that's different if you got any old body with it. Let's say Frankie Edgar had it for whatever reason. Brian Ortega could just knock him out and take it, and then Ortega had it. Now we got somebody else that would take it from Ortega. I don't know who, but you can't put that on the line, and that's what's in their future. But Colby Covington, he needs to somehow get that BMF title. That's what they need to be fighting over. They don't have a real future in the UFC anymore. Covington won, but there's no one left for him to fight. I mean, he could fight Burns just because. That would be nice to see. But what the hell is he going to get out of it? Burns is going to lose his fight. Yeah. No. Covington. Colby Covington can fight Burns, but
what if
win or lose? It doesn't matter. He should. Yeah.
What if Chimaev beats Burns in their fight? That's April, I think. Would you see sort of reasoning for Covington to fight Chimaev or no?
I would, but that's not the fight I want to see. I watched Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns main event too many pay-per-views, but this is the one I want to see coming up next because it's the last.
Yeah.
And they making it pretty clear that it's like this is what we really wanted from the beginning. And to be fair, although they're writing the story, so they're writing what they want. Had Roman Reigns been the bad guy from the beginning, and Brock Lesnar had been the good guy, then this is where we would have been, like, 5 or 6 years ago when they first main evented, instead of having Seth run down and steal their thunder. So now we're not going to get that, which is great. But my point is, like, I don't mind watching something a lot of times. And I don't mind it being overbooked. As long as it's what needs to happen at the time in combat sports. Boxing gets it right. It takes a long time for them. But you're dealing with two people who have so much to lose. If you're talking about Pacquiao and Mayweather, right? They didn't fight for it. Like, it took them forever to fight. And neither one of them went in their prime when they did it. Because they would have lost out on so much money in their career had one of them taken a loss at the time, at their peak. So they just veered away from it for so long. And they said it was this, they said it was that, and it wasn't that. They didn't want to mess their money up. I understand that. They didn't want to mess their money up, and the story wasn't right. So when Pacquiao lost a couple, it was fine. But Mayweather didn't want to mess up his perfect record. And he, with that perfect record, going in, made a ton of money. Even though I think everybody's going to hate me for it. I don't care. I believe Pacquiao won the fight. But I'll tell you this. I also score things in an MMA, in a combat sports style, not in a boxing style. So, I would be a horrible boxing judge, but in MMA, it would be great. But I'm okay with that. So
you wouldn't be too much worse than the majority of boxing judges out there right now, to be honest.
Very true. Or MMA judge. But yeah, I want to see Usman Covington again. Maybe a year from now, if Usman is still on top. Well, no, what on top or not? I want to see a third. That's what I'm getting at. I like the story there. Can he finally get over the hump? We'll watch, let's watch a third fight. The other two were really close. Like, it took Covington getting too tired in the first fight. So I don't want to see him fight Chimaev. I'd like to see him fight Burns, win that fight easily. I'd like to see Chimaev knock Masvidal out and ascend, and then, go get his ass whooped by Usman, because that's what's going to happen. There's no way he's catching Usman. Oh, no, yeah. I shouldn't say no way. Because Usman, yes. And Usman is quite thrown by, it takes him a little bit to get out of the gates. It's almost like you got to hit him first. And that's not the person you want to hit you first. Because he's not trying to hit you. He's not trying to hit you again. Okay? He's trying to knock you out. Chimaev is not trying to hit you multiple times. He's trying to hit you once. If he could do it in one shot, he'll do it in one shot. He's not like Masvidal. He's not going to play games with you. He's only going to unload when it's time to. Masvidal is also much slower than what he thinks he is, too. And it was very noticeable during the fight with Colby. He was pretty slow. His reaction time is slow. He's a counter puncher, and he has to get punched first. Then that's not what that's not what you want. He was trying to throw a punch when he got knocked out against Usman, but he had already got knocked out. So I want my gatekeepers to be Colby's a gatekeeper as well, but he's gonna be one that eventually gets to face Usman in a year if he wins his next two fights. He's got to fight twice and then face Usman.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those like Robert Whittaker, Adesanya, perhaps Rose Namajunas, Zhang
Whitaker's
Weili.
a bum.
Well, I mean,
No, I'm
um,
joking. I'm joking. He's not a bum, but he's not as close to Adesanya as uh
Covington is too.
Covington is. Yes, that's a significant difference when you think about it, because
Hmm.
um
Not in
you
that
know it
fight though.
was.
I didn't see it in that fight too much. The
I'm
first
not.
fight, yeah.
No. It's okay. So it's more like it's a when I say significant difference, I mean it's a significant difference between the distance apart from him. Like he's probably he's just so much further away from Adesanya that it looks like it's really far. I mean, it looks like it's really far away,
Right. Yeah, I get
even
you.
though right. It's like a
Right.
rearview mirror. Objects may seem closer than they actually are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the welterweight division. Kamaru Usman's well on top, but Colby Covington with just maybe a few more slight tweaks, he might just do it. If they get that third fight going, depending on what Colby wants to do, if he wants to go and fight Dustin Poirier, if he might go and venture off somewhere else. You never know. You never know where he's going to go. I could see a future for him in boxing. Like TRILLER stuff. He's just the Miami culture.
Oh my God. Let's get into that
You
real
know,
quick. How much money would he make in Triller? I posted
so
somebody.
much.
I think I posted someone. Oh, I think it was Logan Paul. That's so that's the end right there. We were talking about WWE and Colby Covington and stuff. That's his end right there. By the way, Kurt Angle congratulated him on his win on Saturday night.
Yeah, I seen that.
But that's his end. Logan Paul's in WWE right now with The Miz. You have him and Colby Covington have a fight. That's money, man. That is money. Promoted on WWE. Have Kurt Angle come
Huge
out.
money.
Have Kurt Angle come out with Colby Covington against Logan Paul. And Colby Covington would be the good guy. Which, I mean, that would be weird, but two guys you love to hate. I don't love to hate them. I love them. But and Logan Paul is fantastic, by the way. He's a pretty good actor. Like he knows where to
He's
be.
brilliant.
Yeah, he's in terms of celebrities go, he's right underneath Bad Bunny as the best celebrity they've ever had. Seriously, they've had some great ones too. But if we being real, the new celebrities have a lot more going for them. They're a lot more poised. Like even Stephen Amell, like he was another really good one too. Like he knew what he was doing. But anyway, let me get back.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the
it's
Triller stuff would be insane. Go ahead.
yeah. No, you're right. And that's kind of why I brought it up. I just thought like, the Maya, like I said, the Miami culture, that he brings, the eyeballs that he's now, hugely uplifted, with the change in character. There's a WWE audience there that wasn't before. He's got so many options. I mean, it probably for him and the team and the UFC, they'll all be thinking, right, so does he fight one more time before fighting Usman? But I don't even know if they even realize yet is, well, if I can get my UFC contract, which, it's probably not the best thing to do, but just hypothetically, you've got WWE, right, there's a ticket, there's a train ticket right there, ready to go, leave the station. You've got Triller
Plenty of money.
with the boxing. He would be main event. You could put him against anyone. Because the good thing about him right now, he's not an old guy past his prime who couldn't get it done in the UFC. He is in his prime. He's one of the best fighters in the world, and he has become such a marketable guy. You think, Sean, like think about what a company could get behind him doing, because he's not even really pushing it to limit in terms of like marketability. He's
Exactly.
just doing it on fight week against the Masvidal, talking about him on social media. But if you're talking about like a storyline in WWE, how long it could be pushed for like a WrestleMania or a Triller fight night, pay-per-view
Brock
where
Lesnar, man.
yeah, it's
Colby
just
Covington and Brock Lesnar and next year's WrestleMania would be fantastic. And you either have it depending on when you have it, you could have it after he fights Usman a third time. He might even have the belt on him. It's possible. It's possible. I don't see Usman. Here's the thing: you get so good that you actually become bad. It's like if you ever play, when you play video games, you can't get past this one part, and you played the game so much that like you going up to that one part, you can play it perfectly, and then you start to play the game so much that you start to become really bad at it again. So like he might be at a point where he's on top long enough to where he just can't he has nowhere to go, but down. And a lot of people don't really see that. And that's actually where John Jones was when he stopped, and that's why he stopped. It wasn't about money. He was getting paid peanuts, for a long time. And he's, the crazy part is not even actually a draw. A lot. If you look at his numbers, for one, Brock's over him. That's why he wanted to fight with Brock. Brock didn't need a fight with him. Brock he didn't really entertain it. I mean, but I don't get too far into that. But if you plan it out right, you can have Colby Covington coming to WrestleMania with a UFC championship on him. I probably wouldn't do that because if he loses before, I'd plan it after WrestleMania, because if he loses, he's not going to be Brock Lesnar. I can tell you that. Not at WrestleMania. Not unless he's going to be champion or they're really going to push him. So.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, there's so many options for him. There's still options for Masvidal. I'd say the fun fights, if you're still wanting to do UFC, which he probably will. But obviously you've got the pro wrestling. You've got, Masvidal's perfect for TRILLER. He's him as well.
Yeah.
He's predominantly a boxer, heavy hands, got the market.
PFL needs him. PFL needs a loudmouth guy that's in your face. That's what they need. Look, Masvidal is a bum, and he got on the cover of the UFC game, him and Adesanya. I mean, technically, I guess he was a champion with the BMF belt. Maybe that was slightly before then, but man, he's a former champion for whatever that's worth. But like, man, he could really make some money in TRILLER, and definitely PFL, man. Ain't nobody in PFL ready for him. And they don't have, even though he looked bad against Colby Covington, there's nobody in PFL that's taking this man down and keeping him down. He might be good, but Masvidal's not that bad.
No, he's still one of the best fighters out there. It's just that he ran into a guy that's just, well, like I said, a level above him. But it was, a lackluster card, but some good performances in there. We will turn our attention quickly to another fight on the card. Maryna Moroz, UFC flyweight, women's flyweight, who got the submission win against Maria Agapova. Probably not a fight where people were really, if you were to read the names like I just did, have much attention to, care really about. But Maryna Moroz is a Ukraine native, and came out there, got a huge pop from the crowd, fought extremely well. Given, what she's probably thinking, what she's gone through, is just a crazy time for people living in Ukraine, people of Ukraine. But it tells you to the character of a fighter, doesn't it, Sean? If you can go through what's going on right now, seeing it firsthand, and somehow still get a win, and a stoppage at that. But on the other hand, maybe it does show the lack of talent she may be fighting, but nonetheless, still a really good performance, wasn't it?
No, I think that it shows a lot of heart.
Yeah.
But your skills also got to match that heart, though. A lot of people come in with heart and they get beat up, So hats off to her.
What about Bryce Mitchell? Obviously he's becoming a very sort of I don't know if I want to say big name because he has been rising for the last couple of years, and I think most people, if you're a UFC fan, will know the name. I'm not sure if he's really crossed over yet to everyone knowing.
What's he known for? That's the question. What's he known for?
Oh God, he's known for a lot of things, isn't he? He's a fighter, he's a rapper, he's a very controversial speaker. He's a hunter. He likes to eat squirrel soup and all these different types of things. He's a wild man, isn't he? And
he's all over the place. That's the problem. He's all over the place. That's why people don't know him, because it's like, that's the same dude that eats squirrel soup. Oh yeah, forget him. He needs to just knock it off. And I don't mind the gimmicks, but
do you think it's a gimmick, or do you think it's who he is?
It's a gimmick. The dude's a clown. I don't like anything about him. I'm glad I'm not a fighter, because I need to be whooping ass and getting my ass whooped. Because I don't like him. I don't like a lot of these guys, man. It's definitely a gimmick. Donald, I would say the only gimmick that's not only gimmick, but the one that's, not a gimmick, but he plays into it more. Donald Cerrone. Okay, the cowboy. He's not even the only cowboy, but like, that's fine. I think that he's okay because he doesn't go over the top with it. He lives it, but I mean, that's how you do a gimmick. Let that be you. Like Brock Lesnar. He's not, he's a farm boy. We all knew that. And now he has a personality all of a sudden. No, he's always been this. It's just that we weren't privy to this information at the time. So if he's gonna, UFC used to, I know they still do them, but man, they got to put more content on. You got to put this on during the day to make me give a damn about him. Put on a 30-minute special about your fight card, that people will watch. I cannot remember the last time I watched one of those. Like now, maybe because I know like a large percentage of the people. I don't need to do it, but nah, man, he's a clown. Like you said, look, man, when you listen back to this and you hear yourself say squirrel soup, you're gonna say, oh damn, we were talking about that dude.
Yeah. I mean,
squirrel soup. I asked you what he was known for, and you said squirrel soup. Hey, get that button ready. Get Bryce Mitchell the fuck up out of here, man.
Hey, I mean, come on, man. That's probably the most famous reason why he's known right now is because of how wild he is with his food and his hunting. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's a difficult one to work out. But what I was getting at is his post-fight interview. He got the decision against Edson Barbosa. Looked good in the fight. He's a good fighter. Say what you want about his character, he's a good fighter. Got a lot of pace, energy, pressure, and Edson Barbosa, a great fighter as well. So it was a good win. But
yeah, he beat Barbosa up.
Yeah,
like it was just ridiculous how I did not see that coming.
No,
I thought the opposite actually. But man, I mean, yeah, Barbosa had nothing on him. And that was a little strange to see.
It was, but your opinions on, I mean, for me, it was, hearing him talk about that he was going to donate half of his purse. That was good, in the way, to underprivileged kids in his hometown, and you think, oh, that's good. But when he says that he's going to donate 45,000, obviously, quick maths, you work out that he's been paid $90,000 for that fight. And that took majority of the headlines over the fact that he's donating the money to a charity. He's not, he wouldn't have been thinking of it in that way. But he's then, said basically to the whole world watching how much he's getting paid, and we all know how much of a topic fighter pay is. So you can imagine Dana White sitting in the front row cringing as he says that, as he now knows he's going to face loads of questions about it. But your thoughts on a fighter like Bryce Mitchell, who you said obviously not perhaps a fan favourite, but one of the top guys in the division. He is quite well known now. $90,000 for a fight of that quality. Third fight on a pay-per-view, and he's getting paid less than 100,000. What's your initial thoughts to that?
My initial thoughts do not stray from when you said squirrel suit. Because no, listen, and it's listen. Do you know what's in squirrels? Do you know what you can get from eating a squirrel, man? I don't think this man's well. I don't think he's well, like for real. Now, in all seriousness, he donated his money, but he might need it. Just on what was this? OrkinCanada.ca blog. Okay, so Orkin is an extermination company. Rife with parasites such as fleas, ticks, and mites. Squirrels living in proximity to homes frequently pass these tiny pests on to both humans and pets. Some of the diseases humans can get from the parasite include Lyme disease. I don't even know how to say that. And Rocky Mountain spotted fever. What the hell was the last one? So listen, you get any of that, you're going to be okay? Is 90 grand going to take care of it? Or 45 grand now? No, I don't think you should be playing around endangering your health in those ways. I don't. The guy's a fighter, and he's putting something in his body that could very well wreck him. Like Brock Lesnar had, it's always hard to pronounce it, but he had a medical issue with him, and he was never quite right as a fighter. He only had one or two fights where he was okay, but he had to deal with that his entire career, and it not only shortened it never really took off. If we're being honest. He fought Frank Mir, and that was it. That was him at his top form, and he lost because he was going up against the champion. But it's not funny or fun to be playing around with your health like that. And you shouldn't be playing around with your money either. I know some people might try to clown me over it and stuff like that, but it's a dangerous thing to do, man. It really, really is. That's why I don't eat certain things. That's why I am who I am. I can't do that. There's just too many unknowns when it comes to things like that. It might be fun, it might be cute and cool and all of that, but I'm not going to trust a dude that's just putting his body on the line just from eating regular, what he eats, consumes regularly or on a semi-regular basis or whatever. In terms, as far as him getting paid so little, go to PFL or shut up. I don't give a damn. Give all your money away. I don't care if you ever eat off of it. Squirrels are free, so he's eating fine. Not buying a damn lobster or fine dining. Give all your money away. Like, this is what you do for a living, and if you don't want to live off of it, then give all of it away. I'm perfectly okay with that. In terms of what Dana White does, don't give him give him a box of squirrels. I'm done. I mean, but seriously though, why do you want to pay a dude that eats squirrels $1 million? Go to PFL and go make money if you need money. I'm not giving you any money. You're eating parasite-riddled squirrels. That's what you're doing with my money. No. What if he dies of a parasite? What if he dies from eating squirrels? And you'll say, man, they should have leave all his money to his, I don't know if he has wife or kids. Man, I hope he don't. Jeez. I mean, no, I'm you don't have to mute yourself. I'm done. I'm not
No. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's definitely a strange topic to discuss, but just interesting of him, sort of unknowingly talking about fighter purse and what that sort of means when you do it live on, the pay-per-view. But listen, it's interesting. He's interested. We'll see where it goes. Squirrel suit for the win. But yeah, some less funny and less really just that. I suppose it's horrible news, Sean, about Cain Velasquez, a former UFC heavyweight champion then turned pro wrestler, Hall of Famer.
That transition was horrible.
It
I'm not gonna
was.
lie.
It really was. It was so
But yeah,
depressing.
in other news, Cain Velasquez tried to beat someone to death. Now,
Shoot someone.
yeah, but he
Yeah.
was gonna try to beat him to death too, though.
Oh yeah, he was
Trust me,
just
that was next.
straight up
That was
murder.
next.
But what? Listen,
The judge was right. Hold on, let me take it, and then I want you to go back. I want you to hear what I'm gonna say without.
right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Now the judge say he was extremely reckless, and that's why he was denied his bail again. And people got to understand, just because something happens doesn't mean you have the right to do anything you want to. We had a conversation. We've had plenty of them, but we had a conversation about defending your home and what we could do here in the States versus what you could do over there across the pond, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to just. This is Northern California. We literally just talked about this a little bit ago. Like, people got guns here. Okay, this is. They got guns here, man. Don't come here playing around with somebody and get rid of you. They also got places to dump you too, like the side of a mountain. Apparently, people don't find you if you get thrown off the side of the mountain, but that's neither here nor there. With that said, you just can't do anything to anybody. I don't want to shoot an intruder in the head. I because I'm going to be asked. Think about it. This isn't a man coming into my home. I have two very young children, and they're not, 5 and 4, and my wife is pregnant. She's like 6 months pregnant. This person's coming into my house. I should just blow their head off. However, I don't just have the right to do that. Now, I just told you I got children in here, man, and they could have anything going on with them. Instead, I got a non-lethal, less than lethal gun, where I would put the ammo or the ammunition for this less than lethal gun would definitely make it more lethal than you wanted it to be. So don't come in here playing around thinking that you won't get shot. You can. It's just that I'm not trying to kill you. I can kill you with the gun that I have in my possession. Yes. However, I made sure that it's a gun that I could just have out on the table with no laws. There's no law against the type of gun that I have. People might be going, what kind of law is that? Shut up. You don't live in California, it don't matter. If you come in my house, you get shot in the face. You're not going to like it, and it might kill you. Versus you just doing what you want to do to someone because you have suffered a great injustice, because you are the victim of a crime. You or someone you know, a loved one. You cannot fight someone professionally. It's just there. I won't even say at a high level. You can be the worst professional fighter ever. If you fight for money and you try to kill somebody after that, you get violent with them, whether it's with a firearm, just straight up being physical, trying to fight them or not, you are in severe trouble. You cannot do that. You can't. You can't. I don't know. You can't. I don't care what happened. You cannot do that, or you will suffer severe consequences. Now you could tell me what you were.
Yeah. I was just really gonna throw it to you after sort of giving people the full rundown of what happened, if anyone's not aware. But obviously, Cain Velasquez involved in a drive-by shooting, or chase down really shooting of a child carer for his, I believe it's nephew. I can double check on that, but someone in his family, a young relative of Velasquez, who was under the care at the time of a male carer, and when Velasquez obviously found out what was going on, reports and perhaps the relative breaking the news to him about what was going on, he decided to take action like most probably would do in a heated moment. Attempted to shoot the carer, and instead of what he perhaps perhaps wanted to do, was shoot the carer's stepfather, who was in the passenger seat of the car, and there was also another family member in the back seat as well. So obviously there is then the attempted murder charge. There's the other charges pending, the trial to be set, and Velasquez at this time denied bail for this ongoing charge. Just for me, when I read it, obviously tremendous sadness with the whole situation. Just in general, it's not just sport, MMA. It's just in general where you hear some stories like this, it's just no good comes from it. For their young relative, for Cain, for the carer, it's just a horrendous situation, but hopefully something that can be resolved in some way positive. I mean, it's going to have a massive impact, I think, on MMA community, wrestling as well. I mean, he was Sean, wasn't he? He was just Cain Velasquez, the UFC for that time. Some still regard him as the best heavyweight ever, and just what he meant and what he does mean to this community. You think it could be so sad if he is to receive a jail sentence and things. So it's difficult because, like what you said about the difference between the UK and America of gun control and things, and you think something like that couldn't really happen in this country, but in America it happens a lot. And I mean, there's the argument, of course, of should it continue to happen, but like you said, you've got young kids, and if something was to happen like that, you would want to feel that you have security in your household to protect your children. So it's where you draw the line, but it's a horrible situation, and just hope it gets resolved as best as it can, really.
Another thing is you gotta know what to do. You gotta act, not react. All he has to do is tell the police, get this guy caught up, get him thrown in jail, and they'll most likely kill him because it's California and they have a no child molesters on the yard sort of thing. The second he shows up, he should get killed. I mean, that's just how it is. If you got certain charges and you go to a California prison, now let me say this: some people slip through the cracks. Okay, you're not supposed to, but California has the worst politics, period. But when it comes to jail, much, much, much worse politics. Anyway, you have to kill child molesters on site. If you don't, the rule is you're supposed to be killed. However, child molesters get out, don't they? So that means people aren't, quote unquote, doing their jobs in jail. But that's what he should have did, because I mean, if he's got any sort of weight, which I mean, it's Cain Velasquez, of course he does. Look, man, get this guy in jail, get him in trouble, and just send him to jail. And when people say, "Why are you so calm about it?" Oh, well, because I sent somebody some money, I said, never mind, don't confess to what you did, but you don't even have to do it. You can put some money on somebody's books just for the sake of, and then that guy be gone anyway. You can be sure of it, but that's how it is. He should be, according to California jail law, he should be killed on site. They call it putting in work. He should be killed on site. If he's not, I mean, if you had a little bit of extra money, I'm sure you could get it done. So know your surroundings, know where you're at. Don't just do stuff just because now you're in jail with him. And if he, look, I don't know if that guy's in jail or not, but if he shows up on the yard, guess who has to kill him now? And if Cain Velasquez kills him, he's going to feel great about it, but he's never getting out of that jail. You know what I mean? They're going to know he did it.
Yeah.
It's it. Like, And this is the messed up part. Like, you do something, you can go to jail for a traffic ticket, and then all of a sudden you got to click up and be in you gotta join a gang because that's just the rules. And if something happen and you have to put in work, it's like, well, it's your turn because you're the new guy on the block. If you don't do it, they're gonna get you. So I just don't understand how he didn't think about that. And I'm not letting him off the hook. It is unfortunate, but I thought he was smart. Thought he was much smarter than that.
Yeah, and there's the argument there, Sean, actually, just to chime in where you're saying about you thought he was smart. I mean, should you not expect something more of a person that spent their whole life controlling that anger through martial arts? Like, sometimes you think these fighters should be the most dangerous out there because they've got this built up aggression through training and wanting to punch people and stuff. But then at the same time, no, martial arts teaches you to compose yourself and and you just think it's a discipline, exactly. So you think, where was that in that second? But then perhaps, if it was your kid, Sean, you would be feeling the same way, wouldn't you? So it's different where you think
feeling the same way, yes,
but not doing.
The thought of because if I go to jail, now I'm not even going to meet my daughter. That's ridiculous. Do you see what I mean? Yep. If I give you a second to think about it, if it happened to you and I tackled you first. Well, I wouldn't tackle you if you had a gun. You're most likely just gonna do it because I'm not getting in front of you. But if let's say I did, I tackled you, I stopped you, and I said, think about it. Just let him go to jail. He's going to get killed anyway. You don't have to be the one to do it, and if you do it, you're gonna be the one. Let the dead bury the dead. That's an old biblical reference. Let the dead bury the dead. Don't let robbers rob. You let people you let killers do the killing, man. Send him to jail with killers and let them do the killing. You're not a killer. Now you're an attempted killer. Now you're gonna be in there with them. I don't know if you know about this, but talk a little bit about Ukraine. I'm not shifting gears at all. But someone who's behind bars right now. But they're actually behind bars in Russia. Brittany Griner. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, with the we got somebody who wanted to do something and it was the wrong thing to do, and now they're gonna face serious jail time over it. And here's the thing: they both knew better. She had been going to Russia for 7 years. I think it was over 7 years. It's 7 years to supplement her WNBA income. Okay? That's great. In fact, let me be real. Why the hell would you go back to America? Oh, it's bad in Russia. Well, you made one mistake there and they got you. But you are likely not to make that mistake if you live there. You know what I mean? I just don't know why you really need to live here if you're going there to make money anyway. Like, I know it's got to be beautiful, in parts. I don't know. It's probably cold, but so is Chicago. So, it's cold. You can't understand what people are saying. A lot like the south side of Chicago. So, for me, I'm like, yeah, it's like home. But no, on a serious note, you cannot, you have to be disciplined enough not to do things you're not supposed to do, no matter how unfair you might think it is. You take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obviously what's going on in the world is really scary. If you're not just Ukrainian, but just all parts of the world where you just don't know what it could mean for your country, for your family, and things. You just at any point, our country here in United Kingdom, the United States of America could be called into action. It's just an ongoing thing, and listen, it's just sad, really, really sad. Just hope that it can be resolved without further damage. Kayla killings and I mean, you've got the likes of we talk about sport a lot and we think, well, how can that be so important in this world? And you think, well, it really shouldn't be, but it is in so many ways. I mean, just take in this country, Sean, give credit to Sean here. He found an article where, the Chicago Cubs owners are reportedly interested in buying Chelsea FC, which is one of the biggest clubs, football clubs, soccer in America, in the world, and that is all due to the previous owner being Russian, a financial supporter to the president Putin, and this these things are just that would never have happened had this war not begun. And it's not just there. We've seen in the UFC on the weekend of Maryna Moroz getting her win, and the reaction from it. The sanctions put in for the IOC and the Olympics, that's all changed. It's just this is obviously taking over the world, as it should, because it's so important, the war in Russia and Ukraine. But it's difficult, isn't it, Sean, to talk about it because you don't really have the answers, and you're just trying to work out what could happen, how it could relate to not just sport but just life in general. I mean, right at this moment, we've talked about it before, but how are you really feeling? As I'm imagining a lot of the viewers will be thinking the same thoughts about what's going on and things. How are you really feeling about it just now?
I think we're past the point of what's really going on, and they're starting to push a lot of propaganda. And growing up, being born and raised in Chicago, I know propaganda when I see it. I know political BS when I see it. And they are really pimping out Ukraine over this and hustling a lot of people. And if people might take issue with that, that's too bad. You don't have the pedigree I have, not you per se, whoever has issue with it. You don't have the pedigree I have when it comes to watching political garbage year after year, all the time. I watched the current governor of Illinois owns property in downtown Chicago that he didn't pay taxes for, and he had to pay them right before he got elected. So, he's property taxes that go to people, he's not even paying for regular stuff like everyone. The taxpayers paid for that dude's house and all the roads and everything else. And he didn't even chip in. He didn't even ante up when it came to taxpayers. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell you they're pumping out propaganda in Chicago, I know that they're doing it, okay? Because that dude still got elected. And everybody knows how horrible, everybody all over the world knows how horrible Chicago is right now. They know how bad the mayor is and everything. I don't live there, but you know what? People come up to me all the time and say, man, Chicago's really bad, isn't it? I'm like, what the hell's that supposed to mean? But no, I agree, actually. I go, yeah, it's terrible. And then I tell them even worse stuff than what they know and read. I said, yeah, I watch the news every night. You should just take 5 minutes of that and just, stir that in your coffee. It's awful. But let me get back to the main topic. Cain Velasquez is very unfortunate, but at least there was a legitimate reason he did what he did. Brittany Griner is now going to be used as a pawn. You think I'm talking about propaganda now? Wait till she's been over there since February, and we just found out, everybody, like everybody else did. They've been holding her because she's going to be a pawn. Now, I know you were saying, we might be called into action, either you or me, might be called into action, but our country rather. But I don't see that as the case. I don't see anybody actually getting involved, which is they didn't send anybody when Russia was put on their border and positioning themselves a while ago. When Brittany Griner should have been reading the news. By the way, since we're talking about sports and politics, she kind of doesn't like this country. she's got to protest a lot about the United States. And although it would be beneficial for them to get her, it's not gonna play. It's not gonna look good for her when people go to talk about her, because I can tell you this, and this is just how it is. She's an athletic, very tall, maybe I don't want to more masculine than most. I'll say that. Black woman, lesbian. A lot of white men don't. A lot of old white men ain't. They don't like that. They don't. A lot of old white men with money who are in power. If you guys can't see what I'm trying to spell out to you, then you need to get it. Like, this is just how the world is and how it works. I'm not saying any of that's okay or it should work like that. But in terms of how I feel about it, why are you taking a vape? That's what Brittany Griner took. Why do you have a vape on you at a Russian airport? You know they don't do anything like that. What are you doing? Like, it just boggles my mind that now you're going to be a political pawn and maybe used to get lift some sanctions off of. Like, think about it. They're going to use you for political gain because you made a mistake. And honestly, everybody that would hate her for it should, rightfully so. Because if she wasn't over there, they wouldn't have they wouldn't have one of ours, so to speak. One of our, one of us, and somebody who actually makes money and can give back to things, and someone of some status and some stature to hold over our heads and say, oh, well, why don't you take this sanction off? We got to play ball with them regardless, right? So she played not played into their hands like they were waiting on it, but this is why I said you got to be mindful of your surroundings and what you're doing. Cain Velasquez should not have been done what he did because it would have taken care of itself. And he wouldn't be in this situation. And I don't care what people say as far as their reactions. You cannot react. You act, not react. You'll always be subject to what someone else wants to do and their control if you're reacting. That's why Masvidal got his ass whooped, because he's reacting and he reacts too slow. He's waiting for you to hit him so he can counterpunch. Nah. Floyd does it, but he's a fast puncher, so it's way different. And in boxing, so he makes sure you don't really hit him. Anyway, this political landscape is going to get worse because now we have athletes that are going to be literally used as pawns in this whole thing. And they haven't even started the propaganda with her. Propaganda all around. You can see it everywhere, but if you haven't seen it yet, you will when it comes to her.
You're right.
Sorry, that was a little long-winded.
No.
They all are.
It needs to be on this type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this all day about sort of the propaganda thing that you were talking about there. The dread of fear riddled in Ukraine, and Putin's messages, his active wars, and I mean, don't know how it's really going to unfold in the next few days, weeks, months, but let's just sort of pray in a way. But listen, we've got a lot still to get to, so we'll move on. Covered UFC 272. Like we said, good win for good win for Covington. We'll see where they both go.
Good loss for Hardy too.
No comment.
He's gone. He's out of there, bro.
He is gone. Yeah. Velasquez, yeah, like we said, difficult, but a little happier, a little bit more of a interesting thought. I mean, I don't know how much people are really going to be interested, really. Kayla Harrison resigning with PFL. Just give me your thoughts on, because I already know what you're thinking, but just the idea of someone who could be a potential challenger in the top division, and the likes of an Amanda Nunes fight in the UFC, making it probably the biggest female fight, or going to Bellator, for Chris Cyborg, and yet resigns with PFL where there's little competition, will continue to be a big name in a small pond, but not really engaging with major fan interest because of that. What's your thoughts on someone that's perhaps not ducking opponents, but just not really taking the opportunity to branch out?
They just paid a dude $90,000. I wouldn't go there. I would, like, regardless of who you want to fight, like that dude might die of a parasite, and he's gone. He don't have anything to leave his family either. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I can't get over that. But no, seriously though, you gave him 90 grand. And I don't see why you would sign with UFC if you're not insane. If you're a sane person, stay with PFL. Now, she's going to be barking. I don't know my dogs don't bark, so I don't really know what she's saying when she's doing it. But, like, she's going to be barking, but, like, my dogs, I would ignore her. If I'm everybody else, I ignore her. But her stock will go up if she doesn't lose in PFL, and she's likely not to. Then again, the worst place she could lose is PFL, because somebody knocks her out, that gravy train stops. Like, her trying to fight the best of the best is never going to happen if she ever loses in PFL. And I mean ever. Unless she had some sort of injury or something like eye poke or something like that.
It just goes, all that hype, it vanishes, doesn't it?
Instantly. And that's why she stayed there, where she could get money and she could get better. So I think it was a genius move. I think it was a punk move, but it was a genius move. If you want to fight the best and money's not the problem, like you said, she could have signed with Bellator or UFC. She could have worked out a deal. You could have fought for nothing over there if you want to fight the best, because that's what somebody who wants to fight the best would do. Fight for virtually nothing. So, I mean, she doesn't want to fight the best. She proved it. But that's actually okay, because she's going to make, another $1 million or $2 million in PFL, and then come and fight in UFC for like 100 grand. On a big fight too. Or, I mean, maybe Bellator for 250, which would be good, but that's not the $1 million you was getting over. Like, they get like 250, not base pay, but they get 250 for like being in the tournament. And you get $1 million check and you get 250 for being in the tournament, right? Or winning the tournament, something like that in PFL. I don't know.
$1 million for the tournament, and then your fighter pay during that tournament run. Yeah, you're right. It in a way, it was sort of perhaps classed as a punk move to not just, because at what point did she say? She said at one point that she has ran through the division, ran through this competition, now taking her talents to martial arts, and she's done the same in PFL. And being a 2-time gold medalist, you think you're an ultimate competitor. Why would you then see the greater competition out there and choose to be comfortable in your own? But then obviously there's the financial thing. There's being the big fish in the small pond. But she's, it would be like the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano boxing fight at MSG that's coming up next month. It would be like a moment like that where you say this is a huge female fight, and Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison, or Chris Cyborg versus Kayla Harrison would be, don't get me wrong, we would need a lot of build up media and things for people to really take notice of how big it would be, but it could be. But now, like you said, I don't know what to think of it.
PFL is like they're not a real thing. Like they're not independent, but they may as well be. They may as well be the indies, but they pay really well. So, in my opinion, they pay the fighters exactly what they deserve to get paid. That's what you should be getting paid. And people are like, oh well, they don't pay enough. Well, win a tournament. You stop getting beat up and win some tournaments. I don't know really what else to tell you? You could throw how many rounds is there in the tournament and then the finals? You could throw 4 punches and win $1 million. You do that. I mean, come on. I know it's not that easy, but it could be. It could be for Masvidal. You see what I mean? He can throw 4 punches or anybody basically. Robbie Lawler, he should probably go over there. I know. If he wants to keep fighting. It's being a big fish in a small pond isn't a bad thing, like it's not. It's just that when that fish, and his analogy breaks down immediately, when that fish is barking across the fence at other dogs, it's like you chose to be over there. You got to stay over there. Like, don't bark at us. You're over there. Just stay over there and be content. I'm content where I am. This analogy is going to break down again. I'm a big fish in a small pond. I'm from Chicago in a very small town of Chico, California. Doesn't even have 100,000 people in it. Well, I would say it's 100,000 now, but like it's 100,000 people. I think it's 90,000, but I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt of like 10. Actually, I found that fact out when it was. Because I thought it was like 200,000. But Booker T actually came to this town. I know, crazy, right? And during a big fight, too. And I met him, and he was like, man, how many people are in this town? He wasn't bragging on it, but the guy he was with was like, oh, let me look it up. He was like population of like 89,000, I think it was. Anyway, I'm content here. And so was Booker T. He's from a big place, but reason we were content here because you could be a big fish in a big pond and get shot in other places. I don't want to be in Chicago getting shot. He didn't want to be in Houston getting shot. So I think we made out just fine. As long as we're not talking crap about everywhere else from where we are, it's a good thing. But that's not who she is, and was she she won an Olympic gold medal in can shooting, right? BB guns, BB gun range. That's all she does is shoot can. Yeah. That's a trash athlete for you, man. That is a trash athlete. Her medals are garbage. You cannot do that. You got gold medals and you're calling out top competition from the bleacher seats. That's not how this works, man. It's not how this works. That's my problem with her. If you're a top level athlete and you want to show everyone that you are the best, go fight them. Other than that, be the big fish in the small pond and go do like Nipsey Hussle, Chance the Rapper, Gucci Mane. Go be like them and don't sign with a record label. Make all your own money and be hood rich and hood famous and actually own your own stuff and get rich that way. Go do some movies. I don't care if they're sci-fi movies or, on the Sci-Fi Network or channel. I don't care if they're on Pluto TV. Go do them. Go. And this is terrible. Go get some money from AEW. They're giving it away. They're going to lose $100 million this year. That's crazy. Go get some money from them. And go tell them, hey, let's start some movies or something. Go fight Paige Van Zandt in bare knuckle boxing. Is it boxing? Whatever. Bare knuckles. Boxing. It don't matter if it's boxing or a glass eating, chewing, fighting, whatever. Nobody's watching it. And my point is she needs to make a name for herself where she is so that it'll be a big deal. If PFL isn't a bigger deal because of her, there's no reason she should be barking across the fence at other fish.
Yeah, it's what really can be said about someone like a great athlete, great what she does, become a bit more sort of enamored with the ideas of making it more show-based than things. It was always competition. It was always professional competition. It was never really a show. And now I think she's making it a little bit more of a show, sort of trash talking a little bit to the fans and stuff, hitting back at people, and but very difficult to keep that going and sort of match that energy with when you do a re-sign with a company where there isn't enough competition for her to make a name, become one of the all-time greats, I suppose. But we'll see where it goes. Obviously, she could still, in the future move somewhere else, but like unlikely. We'll see where it goes. Interesting to get your thoughts on this, Sean. Eagle FC announced today, I believe, a new partnership, and their main sponsor, a cryptocurrency company. I believe it's called Satyan or something along those lines. I'll just bring it up real quick. But obviously we did a piece on Eagle FC beforehand a few weeks ago, and obviously with their first American show a couple of months ago, and we were talking about how big they could become, who they could rival, with Khabib at the ownership spot, and crossing over now to American shows and things. And this deal, I mean, it's a very lucrative one. It'll put a lot of money into Eagle FC, helping them with signing fighters and things. What do you think? There's still a lot of things needed to be done before they can begin? Obviously they're not going to become the same level as some of these other companies overnight, but do you think that they are on the right track? I know I don't need to hear your opinion on that, but just in terms of like them, how many steps do you believe they're away from becoming something worth really talking about? I mean, this is a good start.
Well, the biggest thing in their way is what's going on in the world right now. Like they're not gonna get, they're not gonna get the right attention right now, which is unfortunate. But I was listening to the Star Report by Troy Terrain, old DJ, not like scratch DJ, like actual radio DJ. He has a show on YouTube, and he's been covering what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. And he posed a question, I think it was last week. He said, could Russia get past the sanctions with crypto? Because they're heavy into crypto. Could they have their own crypto that would, mean they can kind of just do their own things and not have to worry about the rest of the world? So yeah, this is a huge thing and a huge step. And it's funny that you brought that up, because I think this is the thing that will set them apart. This might, maybe Brittany Griner will be fighting over there. That's kind of messed up, but that's her fault. She messed up. She's not a prisoner of war. She broke a law. She wasn't over there fighting. She had something in their country she shouldn't have had. A vape. Yes, she shouldn't. No, she shouldn't get 10 years for that. And that's what it carries. Like, she's looking at 10 years. That's nuts, right? But she shouldn't get 10 years. She should get like 4. I mean, maybe I give her a slap on the wrist was like 1 or 2, but like the currency over there is probably going to be crypto. And with Eagle FC having this major deal, I kind of wonder about UFC and their whole. They've been heavy into crypto lately as well, with crypto sponsors, Crypto.com as a sponsor. So they probably got their hand in it too. It's not like they don't know what's going on if that's one of their sponsors. So I think this is huge. This is literally something that is going to shape a great foundation for them as a company. It could all go left. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just saying, it could all go left. It's not that I'm not an expert. It's just that it could just go left anyway. As an expert, I should actually tell you that when you put your money into something, it could always just be gone. Maybe the plug might run away with the money for those who are hood and savvy to what I'm saying. But like, I mean, that's not something that's going to happen, obviously, with a crypto company. But it actually could, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, I think this is great. This is actually something that puts them at the forefront of being moving past other companies. UFC is going to be in trouble, believe it or not. They don't make enough. They're paying people $90,000, man.
Yeah.
One of their contestants ate squirrel soup on his own, but I can make it sound like he's poor, right? But no, they're paying people $90,000. They don't have no damn money like that. They're hoarding it all. It's not to say that, you can't hoard money when you got money, because that's what people with money do. It's just that they're not spending it. They're not reinvesting it. And they're not reinvesting in their own product at all, whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Tell me the last UFC investment.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, the interesting thing actually is about this crypto NFT sort of influence on not just I mean, it's been mainly MMA. I mean, you look around the other, of course, some teams and things will be sponsored by crypto and whatnot, but it's a big
Chelsea gonna have a big ass crypto.com sponsor somewhere on the back of their jersey. Because in case I said before, the Ricketts that are trying to buy Chelsea had ties to Trump, which was pretty big on Russia. I won't say that he was doing things with him, but I'll put it like this: whatever he was doing, it wasn't like this. So we didn't have to think about this when it was happening. So anyway,
I mean, it's growing, isn't it? And I was thinking there. I mean, it's good in a way, isn't it, that these MMA promotions and sport in general are keeping up to date with what's the latest trends and things. But do you think it's sometimes dangerous where they become too corporate based? Like the UFC, for example, it is a very corporate run business now, isn't it? It used to be a personal business. It used to be sort of family orientated, friendly. With the Fertitta brothers, Dana, obviously now becoming a private company, Endeavor, it's changed, hasn't it? And it's now a massive corporation with a lot less of a personal touch to it. It's more much money as possible, get the year ends right, and
private company, right?
Yeah, and
so not public, no stock, right?
No.
And yeah, you're gonna be heavy on that button today. That makes him a bitch. Absolutely does.
Yeah.
Be publicly traded if you're a somebody. If you're not, what are you doing? I don't trust you if you're not publicly traded. If you're this big or that if you're as big as they are, or you're putting on the persona that you're something you're not, because you're willing to hide everything from me. You're a public company. Not only can I invest in you, but I can see what you're doing. And you trust me enough to see that, and I trust you. You form a relationship. If you're a private company and you acting like you're as big as other companies, but you're private, and then those companies are public, nah, man, I don't want to. You're doing some bullshit if you're a private company. The best thing WWE ever did is shut people's mouths was go public. Because they make a ton of money, for one, but they have a wellness policy. They have all these other things that you could just look at and go, now I know people are going to go to Saudi Arabia, but at least they're doing it, because UFC can do whatever they want and you wouldn't know, and they don't have to disclose it. Also, another company that's private, WWE's so-called competition. You shouldn't let people be private companies and then put them on a pedestal. That's my advice to the fans out there. Just saying. That crypto stuff, that's good for a private company, but like I said before, what is UFC doing that they have a crypto sponsor, or crypto.com, that that's their sponsor and they don't know what Eagle FC is doing? I'm pretty sure they do. Like, this is why they don't go public, because they can't tell you that they're doing all this other stuff, man. They're not really in competition with people the way you think they are. They're all for themselves, and people need to stop going there. Go to a public company that'll pay you 6 figures. Easy. Oh, man, but they cut me. Well, didn't you get paid, though? You got paid 6 figures. They didn't pay you that where you were, and you had more job security. I'd rather you say, I'm going to fire you tomorrow if you don't show up. Okay. Did you put that $1 million in my bank account? Because if you did, I don't give a shit. Okay. Bye. Like, I'll talk to my boss any kind of way if he was giving me $1 million. That's probably why they don't give him $1 million, but you get where I'm going with
it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, they do lose that touch, don't they? Where you think sort of in a negative way almost sometimes with them, the UFC, and perhaps you don't feel it as much with the likes of Bellator, One, PFL, where they're smaller, but there is more of that sense of togetherness, I think, and you look at the crowds and things.
Because they're paying people. They're actually paying people.
That is true. The morale's better.
Yeah, man. Like,
definitely.
They giving you a big check. It's like, yeah, man, I ain't finna talk shit about them. They paying me. So.
But obviously the UFC will still continue to be number one, even though they don't pay anyone, obviously. Yeah, which kind of, in a way, I mean, it's getting better. I think, give it a couple more years. I think Bellator.
It could be worse.
Yeah, you're right.
It could be worse. I mean, yeah. I mean, let me not take that away from UFC. It definitely could be worse, but like it should be way better. Like we talked about it before, WWE is paying people more. What are you doing? You don't want to know what they're getting paid in AEW, or you lose your mind.
It's good. It's a good sort of actual comparison, actually. What's your thoughts here? Is the gap between WWE and AEW as wide as the gap between UFC and Bellator? Because they're the two biggest promotions in each of their respective sports.
No, and it wouldn't even matter because okay, so that's a weird question because they are number 1 and 2, but Bellator actually cares and it's not a vanity project, unlike AEW. Hey, if you like AEW, turn this off right now. You already listened enough to give us plenty of stats. Thank you very much.
Sean's away to go and go crazy. So just leave now. Yep.
They take Chris Jericho like what? Either $3 or $5 million. And they pay Kevin Owens that much now, like Kevin Owens or AJ Styles that much. So they don't have a real difference in AEW has a lot of people making. Okay, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, the reports and stuff that I'm hearing are that they pay over 25 million, like 25 to 40 million people. Dollars to a handful of people. That's a lot of money in pro wrestling. I'm not knocking that happens. Okay. But they're just practicing poor business because that's not the going rate. That shouldn't be the going rate for everybody. You shouldn't be putting $1 million in everybody's pockets, I've seen the wrestlers over there. They're terrible. A lot of them. There's no way a lot of those guys should be getting $1 million or close to it. But how you go? Listen to what I just said. They're on YouTube making more money than people who are on UFC pay-per-views. People break their legs, their arms, mess up their necks on AEW. They are horrendous at the job they do. And they're only pretending to do things. And UFC people, their combatants are going out there and doing it. Okay? Now, WWE is way different. So even though you might get paid less than somebody at AEW, right? And you have less job security, your merch sales are going to be way different. I don't remember the figures, but like, let's say, man, you pull in one of the top merch earners to this day is Stone Cold. And he just came out with a new shirt for him. He makes like millions off of merch a year. He hasn't wrestled in 20 years. Think about it. 20 years, man. It's been 20 years since Stone Cold wrestled. 20
And he might
years.
be facing Kevin Owens very soon.
Right. Hopefully so. But like, they just came out with a new. That's why they came out with a new shirt.
Yeah.
But imagine you're a retired fighter and you're still able to make money off of stuff like that. Like, it's different when you're in AEW and like, sure, you got control over your stuff and a direct line to it, but you're a smaller fish you're a big fish in a what? Hold on, wait. Okay, I can't use that analogy. Your pond sucks. Okay, nobody's gonna know who you are or anything like that. So you could have control over nothing. Who cares about it? But if you're Stone Cold and you've been at WrestleMania and you're gonna be at WrestleMania again, and you ain't wrestled in 20 years, you got a lot more money coming. So, the different Bellator isn't AEW. Okay, they're not. They're paying. I mean, they pay people. They're better. They pay better than UFC. But when it comes to Joe Schmo and stuff, anyway. But it's hard to say. They're not quite AEW. No, I don't know what this thing's trying to do. They're not quite AEW in terms of popularity. Not that even AEW. That's crazy because AEW isn't even actually that popular because people don't really know about it. And they've been on TNT for like 2.5 years, and people still say, "What is that?" to me. So that's a tough question. What I can say is that two companies care and two do not. Two are vanity projects and two are not.
Yeah.
It's weird because Bellator's is UFC's AEW, right?
Yeah, that's
what they are.
Yeah.
Right. And but they act they act better. They're better than AEW actually is. A million times better. They actually care. AEW is a straight up vanity project. And if you don't believe me, how in the hell are you gonna make money when you're losing $100 million a year? Not your first year, but like in 1 year you're gonna lose $100 million. There's no way in hell you care about your business. I know you don't, because you would never lose that much money. Even with billionaire money, in 10 years you'll burn through $1 billion. And that's not even true, because if you burn $100 million now, you're likely to burn $200 million the next year, and so on and so forth, until you start to burn billions a year. Now, maybe it's on average. It's not on advertising, but what all I have to say is UFC doesn't do that either. They don't care either. It's just a big vanity project to them. So both the analogy works, but the companies are actually on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like UFC's the evil Bellator and AEW's the evil WWE. I know a lot of people are gonna hate that, but that dude's got a private company and just his daddy gave him some money, he's spending it. That's fine, but he don't give a shit. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about you. He cares about him and what he's doing, and you can tell that. You can always tell that. And I hope people wake up to that, because that just gets a lot of people in trouble. That's why UFC is where it is. Dana White cares about himself, and nobody's getting paid. He doesn't even care that nobody's getting paid. He hasn't made one single change to anything to really stop that. In fact, he made it 1,000,000 times worse when he got the Reebok deal, because the money goes straight to them, and then they give you some garbage merch. Anyway.
We'll try and keep it A little bit positive today. I mean, Sean's a big downer today's episode. I tell you, he's just. No, I
You
mean,
start asking me about Ukraine and all that. People getting locked up. Why do you feel about this person being locked up and that person being locked up?
But listen, it's been a great show. We've got to kind of wrap up here. I imagine our conversations will go off air here, me and Sean, but we do have to sort of close it up. We'll finish with some of the action this weekend. We've got Bellator pay-per-view. I believe there's an Eagle FC event. Obviously, it'll be in Russia. I need to double check on that. But obviously, the main one, UFC Fight Night. Thiago Santos versus Muhammad Ankalaev. Good fight card, really. Actually, is for one of these fight nights. Really is. I mean, Thiago Santos. You could say he's had his fair share. Yes, he was going up against John Jones in that title fight, but he's had some big opportunities. The win against Johnny Walker was lackluster, and now he's going against Magomed Ankalaev, who just a straight up, beast, really. Just really skilled, really dominant, 16-1 overall. Does that fight interest you? I mean, you got Santos, always interesting with the power he brings.
Yeah.
You've got wrestler. I mean, it's a good fight, isn't it?
No. I took another look at the card. Yes, this is the type of card. As a fan, you can sit back and you can just kind of sip something to it and like, I have a few beers to this, and just zone out and pay attention to what's going on. Because there's some people you might want to be checking for in this card. The main event, obviously. That really does interest me because we need something to happen there in light heavyweight. Thiago Santos getting back to the top would be good, and it would only be the second loss for Magomed. So if he were to lose, now if he wins, Santos might be on the bum couch. I don't know. He's putting in an application for if he's not on the bum couch, then he's putting in an application to get a seat. But yeah, I like this card. Hope Alex Caceres gets dominated. I can't stand him. I've lightened up on him since the beginning. I hated him, and now I can't stand him now, but I don't hate him like I used to. He just could have and should have been so much more than what he is, and he never quite learned enough. He never quite ascended. He was he's Yamcha pretty much. Now don't get me wrong. Yamcha was a badass at certain levels, but once they got past Nappa, Yamcha for Dragon Ball Z fans. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, he's weak. Alex Caceres is weak, and I hope he get his jaw torn off. But he's a good fighter, so it's likely not to happen. He's a decent fighter, so that's likely not to happen. Interested in Roundtree and Roberson, actually. What do you think about that?
Very interesting, yeah. Roundtree sort of had a bit of a, renaissance in his career, didn't he? Where he changed a few things and he became this. You look at the Eric Anders fight; he just absolutely destroyed Eric Anders, and you think, okay, this is the Khalil Roundtree of where, it could be. He could be a threat. He could be a real threat, which we always thought he could be. And he's not fought very sort of actively over the years. He's only 15 pro fights. 32 years old, coming into this prime. He's athletically so gifted, so powerful. Controversially, with the last win against Modestas Bukauskas, that strange stoppage, but it was a win nonetheless. And you think 3 wins in a row, looks to make it 4. And he's just the type of fight. I think he's the type of fighter that you should have on these type of cards. The exciting fighter. Sometimes it doesn't always end up like that. He might tire a little bit and stuff. But I mean, Drew Dober, Terrence McKinney as well. I mean, look at Alex Pereira, the man that knocked out Israel Adesanya, making his return to the UFC. It's a really good card. And then obviously the co-main event as well, Marlon Moraes, Sonya Dong. I mean, for me, Marlon Moraes, he's in that category of you need to win. No matter what happens, you have to win this fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy this fight. Hopefully, I got a fence up so I don't have to worry about dogs chewing me alive. But hopefully, I can be out on the patio, have some drinks. This is a card I want to pay real attention to. Like I don't want to. I'm gonna be there at the start of each round. Like I might get up, do a little something, entertain or something like that. But I want to watch this card straight through. I don't know what the prelims look like. Let me see. Nope, never mind. Let me be for real. I mean, I'll probably watch that too. I usually always have the prelims on, like always, no matter what. Man, is that it's on ESPN Plus, so this is good. That's always good. There was in the other fight, Drew Dober. We want to talk about not being what you're supposed to be. Yeah, Drew Dober and Alex Caceres, they were just, it happens. You put guys in a category where you think, hey, this he's got something. And then they don't, for whatever reason, you don't see it. Like I say, Alex Caceres is actually a decent fighter. Like, if we fought him, he'd kill us both in minutes. Seriously, he'd kill us both in minutes. So like, that's why I tell people on Sporticus, my other show, take what we say with a grain of salt and understand that we're criticizing pro athletes on their level. I am not taking anything away from anyone, especially like gold medals and stuff like that. We're coming up to their level to analyze them. Don't care if she got a gold medal. Stop talking shit and fight somebody who's worth a damn. Okay? That's what she needs to hear. That's what we're all saying. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Drew Dober, though, I don't think he's going to come out of this fight, actually. I don't see him winning this fight. And it's not because of him. It is kind of because of him. Give me your take on Drew Dober.
Yeah. I see what you're saying there about Drew Dober, because I think a lot of people would have a similar opinion. I mean, he's just, he looks the part. He looks like he could be. Yes, he's in the lightweight division, very difficult division to become something when you've got the likes of McGregor, Habib now retired, but you've got, Poirier, Oliveira. You've got these massive, draws in that division, aside from it being the deepest division as well. So skillfully it's hard, and then on the marketability side as well. So it would be hard for him to break through. But obviously, Islam Makhachev fight went as probably most expected. It was a big step up for Islam at the time, where you think Drew Dober, and it's a name where it's like some of these guys in the divisions across the UFC. You think, oh, he's a dog, but like you said earlier about gatekeepers, I mean, he's not necessarily a gatekeeper. He's one of those guys where if a rising star's coming up, like in Islam, and you give him Drew Dober, because then that's the next step up in level. Whereas Drew Dober's young enough to be on his own career path, where he's becoming really a stand-in for some other fighters. And you think, yeah, I mean, Terrence McKinney, he's a rising star, and
it's a perfect card. They're perfect for this card. That's a perfect fight for this card. That's exactly why you keep guys like that in the UFC and why you need them. And they just don't do this enough. They should really be talking all of the fights up. But that one, why can't this fight card be on television? Right? Yeah. Why is it on actual television? I mean, can't do ESPN too,
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't have that problem here though, because obviously it's a different setup, and what you're saying is that to get these fighters more known, because we know, because we watch it a lot, that we know these guys and girls, and we think, oh, they're good, they're they could become something. But then the average viewer that doesn't see it won't. But because, it's different from the UK to USA in terms of the TV deals and things, anyone can watch it here. So it's a great card, and it's a lot of good matchmaking, I think. Drew Dober, Terence McKinney, that'll be fireworks. Obviously the main event could potentially end in knockouts. And Marlon Moraes is in a must-win fight, like we said. So very, very interesting. Guys, really check this one out. Like Sean said, he's going to be watching. Yeah, I mean, any final thoughts, Sean, before we finish? I mean,
when people are in final fights, not final fights, but must-win situations, I feel bad because I want them to lose so that they'll actually look at the other options other than UFC. But when they lose, their stock goes down dramatically. So it's really messed up when you pick that. I think these fighters need agents, and I think they need to just start to make better contract negotiations, maybe form some. Now, don't form a union. That'd be corrupt. That's that Chicago again. Don't form a union, man. That's the most corrupt thing you can do is unionize. People are like, what? Yeah, you ain't seen it like I seen it. That's the worst thing you could do. It's gonna be horrible. And then nobody can get in and stop what's going on in the inside. But my final thoughts on it, like we watch MMA for cards like this. And this is going to be a much better card than the one we just saw. Much better. Because we don't really know. Yeah. We don't really know who's going to win what. And we see the name, like their names to us. Drew Dober's like, and Kennedy, like they're names, but like to aficionados, not to analysts, not to Joe Schmo. Nobody in my house knows who the hell Drew Dober is, even if his cousin was in here, he would know who the hell he is, but ain't that right? Cecil Dober. Okay. Oh, well, he said, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I know I'm a comedian today. I don't know why. It's probably to mask the fact that my dogs ripped the harness off of each other. I don't know why they would do that. And I needed to be funny instead of being angry. But no, yeah, man, we just got to stay the course and watch fights like this coming up. I mean, we're gonna have some bad news coming out of Ukraine anyway. People might not like it, man, but like they letting your citizens flee. That means they want you. You might want to when all the citizens leave, they just gonna crush you. If you know you're about to lose a situation versus fighting for it, maybe you might want to look into negotiating a lot better. I don't know why peace talks are breaking down. You should be looking for peace immediately, unless you want your people, to be taken out. And it's a sad situation, but this is what we have to look forward to. We have to drown our sorrows in some good old MMA.
I think that's what myself, Sean, at times, the pro wrestling as well. So many of us do, doesn't it? Drain out the outside noise with an escapism in sport, and hopefully be doing that again on Saturday. Great card for the UFC, Bellator in action as well. All the other MMA promotions, no doubt as well. Boxing going strong, besides for the fact where there's countless corruption going on. But stay tuned, actually, guys, for some articles heading your way to the MMAtorch.com website. Also, on social media channels, we'll be putting out some new things. Got a boxing story coming soon. But for the episode, that's us done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next Monday. We had a day off yesterday with some personal business going on for myself and Sean, but like always, we'll be back on Monday for another episode of the Weekend Warrior podcast presented to you by MMA Torch. Thanks for listening, guys, and take care. Have a good weekend.